Hey, it's Jim here, coming from the Moose Basin Tackle Shop, part of the Moose Basin Vacations Bed and Breakfast here in Kapuskasing. Now, this video is going to be a little different today. I'm just sitting here waiting to hear back from a client for this afternoon, so I have some time to make this video. And as I'm making it, multiple communities around Northern Ontario are holding, I guess we'll call them protests, to raise awareness at the government level and multiple levels about road safety up here in Northeastern Ontario. And I've experienced in my time since buying in Kapuskasing, which is in the far north on Highway 11 in northeastern Ontario in the district of Cochrane. I've had several problems with the roads commuting back and forth when I was doing a lot more commuting. And as a business owner in Kapuskasing, I've also seen how the quality of roads has affected my business here. So I guess to give you a bit of perspective of what I'm coming from, I'll just click on Google Maps here. And for 3 years, while I was really in the process of setting up my business and that, I was commuting on a regular basis from town of Morrisburg, right here, heading on to Trans-Canada, going up North Bay and traveling to Trans-Canada all the way up to Kapuskasing. And now these protests seem to be specifically, a lot of the outrage has to do with winter driving and winter road maintenance up here. But I can say from my experience that I have had just as many problems and shutdowns. Okay, not just as many, but the problems are not isolated to winter driving here. I have been delayed in traffic due to lane closures and road closures in the summer quite often, but it is far worse in the winter, especially when it comes to preemptive shutdowns of the roads directly due to weather. Like in the summer, they pretty much only get shut down due to actual accidents and that. But to give you an idea of why people are so up in arms about the road conditions in the winter is, on a typical drive, when it's snowing the entire way on this journey here, I will typically see 0 plows from Kapuskasing to Cochrane. That's going either way. I very rarely see plows in between there. Typically, on your journey between Cochrane and Kapuskasing Shores, you'll see somewhere between two to four. That's 1 or 2 in each lane, in each direction, covering this entire length of highway here. And then you get to the stretch between Kapuskasing and North Bay. That just about doubles again. I should say Kapuskasing to Mattawa. You'll see about double the amount in there, and then you will see in between Mattawa and Ottawa at least 2 to 4 snow plows for at least in between every major town along the path. Like it really starts getting better around here. And then once you get into the populated area of Eastern Ontario, there isn't a major road I travel on, and I typically take Dwyer Hill Road which is around here, down into Kempville, and take back roads that way. And even on the back roads, once I'm off the highway, I still see more snow plows than that. And another reason people are up in arms over here is the amount of fatalities that happen on our roads. Like, I see a lot of accidents traveling, but there seems to be a disproportionate amount of fatalities that occur between, now this is the real deadly stretches, Hearst to Cochrane. Now, as I said, when I do my winter driving, there are times I do not see a plow between Cochrane and Kapuskasing. And the same can be said heading from Kapuskasing towards Hearst. I don't travel that as much, but I know people that do, and I take their word for it that it's roughly about the same amount of maintenance. Now, that's Kapuskasing to Hearst and Kapuskasing to Cochrane are both over 100 kilometers. And it is not uncommon to travel that 100 kilometers and not see a plow on your journey. And to put that into perspective, back where I'm from, it is impossible to travel 100 kilometers on any road, on any day, and not see a plow. Yet up here, our only road, our major thoroughfare, can go plowless during snowstorms. So there is we don't have enough plows up here, is what I'm getting at. And we can argue about the population base being low, but this is a major shipping route. Like, goods go down south from here. So when the traffic gets shut down here, it's also shutting down all the goods being delivered down there. And one of the arguments I know that people are going to have against it, I'm just going to put my face back on the screen here. One of the arguments I know people are going to have, the people that aren't providing the services have against it, is that it's not in the budget. But when you count how much money businesses are losing because of road shutdowns, you count how much time is lost from businesses, even if it doesn't cost them money directly. Time is money, and how much time gets wasted because things are stuck on highways because they're shut down. And you add up the amount of incurred costs that our police have to spend shutting down roads, our police have to spend investigating, our emergency supplies have to, like our emergency system, our paramedics, are many times when there's accidents on the highway, people need to get airlifted somewhere. Those airlifts cost a lot of money. Now, how much money, like brass taxes financial, how much money can be saved on those expenses just by keeping our roads safer? And another thing I want to hit up on isn't just the lack of plows up here. I think a lot of the road safety up here comes from inexperienced drivers, particularly inexperienced commercial vehicle operators. Because I'll switch back to Google here. I see a lot of accidents on this stretch between North Bay to Ottawa. There's quite a few accidents. I see a lot of fender benders in between Ottawa and Morrisburg. I see a lot of accidents on all stretches of this road. However, it isn't until you get to this northern stretch in between northern, particularly north of Temagami up to Kapuskasing, where I start seeing a disproportionate amount of accidents and commercial motor vehicles in the ditch where you're watching, like you see the carnage on the side of the road and you're not thinking, I hope everyone's okay. You're not thinking, yeah, that was the road conditions, like I better drive carefully. You're actually more thinking like, how did this happen? Like one accident in particular, there was a commercial motor vehicle that had driven off a straight stretch of road in the middle of the summer, skipped the guardrail, drove directly into a creek, and his trailer was blocking the causeway and causing a flood. Like, that is driver training. And any motorist up in Northeastern Ontario will vouch for or have similar stories to that, seeing accidents involving CMVs that we have no idea exactly what the people involved were thinking or what was happening. But at the end of the day, a lot of these accidents are undoubtedly chalked up to driver error or poor maintenance on these equipments. So in addition to the road conditions being poor due to lack of funding, undoubtedly justified due to lack of population up here, we also seem to have a disproportionate amount of, I'll say, underqualified and under-maintained commercial vehicle fleets going on up here, which only adds to the danger on the roads up here. And another thing that causes problems, particularly in the winter up here, and this is something I'd like to see addressed, and you'll see, especially coming north out of North Bay, lots of signs where the population dwindles and you're only dealing with small towns heading out of North Bay. You see all these signs that say, if you're tired, take a break, fatigue kills. Big multi-$1,000 light up sign on the side of the road, fatigue kills, take a break. And in the winter time, the next sign you see, rest area closed. Either take down your fatigue kill signs or open up the rest areas in the winter. Because that stretch of highway in between North Bay all the way up to Kapuskasing, there is not a lot of places that are open 24 hours a day where someone can stop and take a break. Those rest areas are relied upon in the summer and very well used all summer long. And they would be in the winter if we had someone there, or if they were open. Like, what I would suggest right off the bat, don't bother putting gas stations there. Let the motorists plan their trip around the 24-hour gas stations. Like, most vehicles can get, like, a full tank of gas makes it from North Bay all the way up to Kapuskasing easily. Like, you're passing gas stations that are open 24 hours a day. But to the best of my knowledge, along that Highway 11 stretch between North Bay and Kapuskasing, there's only 3 stops that are open 24 hours. That doesn't make any sense. We need to provide more opportunities for people to stop, stretch, and get themselves back in driving condition. There are no stops to be made in the winter up here, especially if you're driving at night, because there's very little that's open 24 hours a day. Like, in the daytime, you can stop off at, and I encourage you to stop off at as many small towns as you can and test out a coffee shop and test out some local fare and stop in at some local stores. But if you're driving at night up here, there's nothing open and all the rest areas are closed. And in particular, this stretch, hold on, I'll put on Google Maps here. Again, this stretch, like north of Englehart, all the way up to Cochrane, Iroquois Falls is off the highway. Like, you don't see the actual town of Iroquois Falls. Valgagne is about 5 houses. Matheson is a gas station at a 4 corners. In between those, Cochrane and Englehart, there's nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. So if you have to use the bathroom or something, like, you're literally left to pull over on the side of the road beside an 8-foot tall snowbank. That's not safe. Like, either that or you end up pulling into a gas station or some backcountry road and you're pissing in like 2 feet of snow in the middle of the snowbank. Not many people are willing to do that. Like, we don't, like, you tell us not to drive fatigued, yet there's no place to even come over and take a piss and get relaxed and back in driving shape. So, like, our road conditions are such that the roads themselves aren't properly maintained. We have a lot of inexperienced drivers up here that don't know what they're doing, and we don't provide any proper rest areas or anything for when conditions do get bad and people need to get off the road. Like, a lot more people would get off the road when conditions are bad if they had a place to push it, or if they had a place to stop and get off the road when the driving got. And quite frankly, the driving gets scary up here sometimes, and a lot of times people would use these rest areas to just pull over when the driving got scary, but instead, their only options are to pull over, or basically pull over on the side of the highway and risk getting smoked by an inexperienced CMV, or push through and hope they make it. And people push through, and then accidents happen. And we need to create something up here, somehow, that attacks all those 3 angles here if we are going to get the road safe up here, and if businesses like mine can continue to operate. I have lost clients because they were going to come up, but the roads were closed. And so that's money and bookings out of my pocket. Like, fortunately for me, I also had a situation where clients left early, but still kept the pay because they needed to catch a plane in Timmins. And they had to leave a day early. And if they didn't leave a day early, they were getting stuck in Cap because the roads got shut down, because if there's a certain amount of snowfall, the municipalities around here know that they're so short-staffed on snow removal equipment that don't even open the roads. It's just going to be too deadly. And that's indicative of an underfunded system where we have to shut things down before bad stuff happens, because we know we're so understaffed and undermanned that there's really no other option then for bad things to happen. So we shut it down preemptively. And this is one of the few stretches in Ontario where you will see that. Everywhere else has the budget for more equipment to be out preparing it. Up here, we just shut it down out of fear of what will happen if we don't, and out of fear of more fatalities on these northern roads. And something does need to give up here, because we're also, like, it's not just about money spent and that. Like, we're also dealing with all these communities. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen here to switch it around. But anytime anyone from up in this area needs medical appointments or anything, especially with specialists in that, people in Kapuskasing, in many cases, have to go down to Timmins. There have been countless medical appointments that have needed to get rescheduled as a result of road closures. And so the state of our roads is not just affecting the drivability up here. The state of our roads up here is affecting the state of our health care. It's affecting the state of our elder care. It's affecting the state of our policing. It's affecting the state of our emergency ambulatory services. It's our poor road conditions are inflating costs and inflating measures put in place for our own safety and security in ways that our road network shouldn't be affecting those things in a society as rich as we are in Canada. Period. We need to get this nipped in the bud. Businesses have lost enough money. Families have lost enough loved ones, and it just something has got to give with the roads up here. We can't just keep shutting roads down all the time. It can't go on like this. We need to have more value placed upon people on this northern stretch being able to access the emergency supplies that they need, to be able to access medical attention they need, and to be able to have all emergency services that are meant to be there to help them, helping them, and not dealing with helping motorists. Like, yes, I know paramedics and all that, they're there to help for car accidents too, but I would rather have the bulk of our paramedics in our area dealing with heart attacks that are happening in town or emergencies happening. I would rather see them dealing with that than dealing with roadside emergencies and gruesome scenes on the side of a highway that should never be happening in the first place, because the road should have been maintained in better condition. Period. Like, we need to get our roads and our infrastructure up here in proper shape so that the rest of our services can properly do their jobs, and so that the non-emergency services and businesses in town can conduct business as usual on par with their southern counterparts. We don't need lack of road maintenance being yet another thing working against northern business. Right? We deal with enough difficulties on our own up here just with our location without having to deal with major roads of provincial and federal importance being shut down. That is not something that we want to be dealing with. We want to be focusing our time on overcoming the other struggles that come with living up north, and not just constantly going into problem solving due to our roadways and infrastructure not being maintained properly. So again, I just made this video to offer whatever support I could to the people actively at the protests across Northern Ontario demanding safer roads. I just wanted to provide my own anecdotal stories and my own opinion on it, because the scope of the effect of the roads, it doesn't just affect us, it affects everyone in the province, and in many ways, since that's the prime road for Canadian shipping through Northern Ontario, it affects everyone in Canada in some way, shape, or form. It's just, since we are where the accidents happen, it affects us most, and we lose most of the lives in the deal, and which is tragic. But it is a multifaceted problem, and it's something that we in the North, and I believe everybody, needs to pay more attention to and focus on coming up with a solution right now. Like, everyone's all for new roadworks that the province wants to build in the Ring of Fire, and for developing new shipping routes via the train system and all that. But like, how can we even think of expanding these systems when we clearly cannot safely maintain our existing systems? I don't think a lot of this is planned out, and I think we absolutely have to plan it out better to make sure that all these new projects can go forward in a safe way and not just cause more disasters on our roadways, which, the way I see it, if we go through with these other projects, it's just going to create more fatalities on the road and more road shutdowns. We need to focus on making what we have safe, and then continue that strategy of safety into our new developments before we start making new developments that are going to compromise already unsafe practices. And just something to think about there. Anyways, I think I've said my piece. Drive safe out there under all conditions. It's cold and sunny, and the roads are pretty bare now, so things are safe up here today. But as always, drive safe out there. Be aware. Stop where you can. And hopefully, moving forward, we will be able to secure whatever we need to make things safer up here for people on the roads in Northern Ontario, and for people wanting to make a road trip up to Northern Ontario to enjoy the beauty we have up here. Because as I said before in the video, I've traveled around, I've been all over this province, and I think our little neck of the woods up here is some of the most beautiful, easy to enjoy nature in all the province. It's definitely worth coming up, and I want to see safe roads so many families can come up here and experience the serenity and the peace that the nature up here can bring you. So let's keep our roads safe, and let's keep traveling to Northeastern Ontario. It's definitely worth the trip, and hopefully the efforts that the northern communities are making are going to make it an easier trip for you for when you do decide to come up here. So thank you for listening, and have a good day. Drive safe out there, people.